as I do this channel, I'm realizing I'm telling you a lot about me because, well, that's what I'm talking about. Things I like, things I don't like. I want to put this out there. I am a child of the 80s. So I am a huge fan, well, not because I'm a child of the 80s, but I'm also a huge fan of singer-actor Rick Springfield. I have almost all his albums. I've, like, from the beginning up into Rock of Life. Some of this newer stuff, not as good. My favorite would be, well, Tao. The reason I tell you this is I want to talk about something I watched on the weekend. And it's 80s, very 80s, but it's a hoot. And if you haven't seen it, you really should check it out. It's called Nick Knight. Greetings, Dave here, DCP Effects. This is a movie that I have seen, I can't tell you how many times. It actually was a pilot. It came out in 1989. It's a story about Nick Knight. Look at the cover here. It's taken, what does it say? It's taken 200 years for this cop's past to catch up to him. Nick Knight's a story about a vampire who works for the LA police. He has a deal with the, his captain that he works nights. He has a condition. He works nights. He works alone. And well, throughout the happenings of this, there's a serial killer on the loose. Homeless people are getting killed and everyone's calling it a vampire killer. As time goes on, we find out, well, that Nick actually is a vampire, and there's a whole backstory of he's been a vampire and he's trying to find a cure for his vampirism. He has a jade goblet, and the movie opens with them finding another jade goblet. But we don't know that until later on. The whole myth is that if the sacrificed blood is poured from one goblet to the other and then consumed, it's to cure vampirism. Right. Anyway, it's a great movie. I came upon it because 1989, it was a rainy day. I'm flipping through the TV guide because that's what you did back then. We didn't have all these guides on TVs. We had a TV guide. So I went through it and I thought, Nick Knight, oh, this is weird. Rick Springfield. I love Rick Springfield. Why not? I'll watch it. And I can't tell you the number of times I got kind of ribbing for liking Rick Springfield. I like his music. Anyway, one thing you may not know about him is his song Jesse's Girl was #1 on the Billboard charts when MTV launched. There you go, a little fun fact. Anyway, back to the movie. So he goes through this whole thing. He has John Capellos as his partner who doesn't realize what's going on. He tools around in a 59 Caddy because 59 Caddy's got the biggest trunk space of any vehicle available, because sometimes he gets caught out in the sun, so he hides in the trunk, and that happens later in the movie. Anyway, he gets through the whole thing. It turns out that it's not a vampire that's killing these people. It's someone who actually was working for the blood bank, and his mother got in an accident and got some tainted blood, and he blamed himself, so he killed all the people who were O negative, because O negative is universal donor. So he killed all that. As a side story, his old master, Lacroix, played by Michael Nader. You're like, who? Michael Nader. Great actor during the 80s, a lot of soaps. I also liked him in the pilot of The Flash. Anyway, I said to the wife as I watched it the other day, I said, I bet he never left the set hungry from the chewing of the scenery he did while he was acting, because he's over the top. It's hilarious. Anyway, Lacroix is trying to stop him from becoming human, and they fight, and in the end, Lacroix is killed and done, and he moves on with his life. I don't know why the love interest didn't rise as a vampire, but hey, it was a TV movie. It was a pilot that never took off. In 1989, it never took off. Now, if I could interject here for a second, I've noticed that I've sort of stagnated in likes and subscribers. I'm stuck at 1,400 and it's really not going anywhere. So I really like it if you are here because you found this video on YouTube. If you give me a like, give me a sub, I really appreciate it. I like to know that what I'm doing is reaching people, and that way I'll know sort of where I need to focus my energy on. Back to the content. It never took off. Now, if you're listening to this and you're going, Dave, that sounds really familiar. Well, what happened is 1992, they ran with the whole premise on a show filmed in Toronto, based in Toronto, called Forever Knight. This time we have Gerard Wynn Davies filling in as the role of Nick Knight. Now he's 800 years old. They've obviously tweaked it a little bit, and they changed it so that the doctor friend in Nick Knight, who's trying to help him become human, is now a female pathologist, and they have a bit of thing going on. Anyway, all of Forever Night is available for download on the Internet Archive. So if you want to check it out, I'm downloading it right now. It's about 18 gigabytes. It's on the archive. I wouldn't expect to see it there. Anyway, they took this and they turned it into a 3-season series. Vampire, fighting crime, Toronto. And you know, if you're going to fight crime as a vampire and work at night, yeah, come up to Canada, man. The nights last forever in the winter. Anyway, it's a fun movie. I love Nick Knight. I have 3 copies of this. I found the VHS somewhere. I taped a copy myself off of TV. I found a copy of VHS. A buddy got me this. Found it in like the dollar bin. And there's a glitch on it at the very end. And I found a copy on Amazon that had Renegade. I think it's Renegade? Something like that. It's a double feature. And it has that on there. And it's a hoot. It's fun. And it's extremely 80s. You like even the music, but like you can tell just from the styles, the fashion, everything. It's very late 80s. You've got Steve Winwood. Don't you know what the night can do? At the very end, you have Endless Summer Nights. You have Bobby Brown, Jodie Watley. A couple other songs like, oh, I know that, I know that, I know that, I know that, and it just is a hoot. It's a hoot. It's something that if you're into like the 80s, like I am, you might get a kick out of it. Now, I don't know where you can watch it. I haven't been able to find a copy in a stream or something like that, but you might be able to find a download somewhere. But it's a fun movie if you want to just sit down and go, right on, let's do this. The effects are okay. They're not great. One thing that they did that I don't like is when in vampire movies, they give them fangs, but in this one, like a lot of movies, they elongate the ones right next to the incisors. No, you elongate the canines. Elongate those. That's canines. That's what you do. So I didn't like that, but maybe their mouths were too small and they couldn't, get it in. I think it did the same thing in Lost Boys too. So there you go. So that is a recommendation from me to you. It is a fun movie and I just love watching it again. So I popped it in and I had a great time. And yeah, and well, looks like I like Rick Springfield, so why not? So that is the video for today. I hope everyone's had a great day. We'll talk to you all later.